Wow. That was disgusting to watch. Like, y'all tell me if y'all feel the same way I did. That energy that Huda had throughout this entire episode seeped through my TV. Like, it just, I felt that negative, nasty, toxic energy. She is a disgusting human being. I'm going to tell y'all right now, I'm going to spend probably this entire recap not sparing her. I'm about to go in on her because there's a lot of things that she did that is just foul on so many levels. It's beyond disrespectful. It proves exactly why she's single. And I'm pretty sure every man that watches this that might have found interest in her or might have wanted to be interested in her if she got off the show and was single does not want to get themselves involved in that. And who would? Who would? But to start on a light note, thank y'all so much for the love last night. Y'all got me I think 140 new subs. We crossed 9,000. We are close to 10,000. Thumbs up the video. Y'all did that too. I said I wanted 500 to 600 likes. I think we got 700. Let's do it again. Thumbs up the video. Share the video. Subscribe if you're new. Turn your post notifications on because we're here every single day. Every single day. And yeah, I'm not going to waste too much time because I want to get this done because it's energy. Ugh. All right, so we get back and everybody's still in tears. And Charlie, he's dumped from the island. Everybody is saying their goodbyes. Hannah is crying like somebody done died. And I'm like, you're sitting here crying like it's not your fault. Like, all of this happened with you and Charlie because of what you did with Pepe on Friday. But she's talking about how this is not fair. This is not fair. I said, it's literally your fault. Like, you need to be mad at yourself. But Charlie is sitting there consoling her like he's not the one going home. But Olandria is hugging Amaya because Amaya says that wasn't easy for her. Well, we get Charlie and Hannah. They're over there talking now. She's still crying. Boo-hoo crying more than him. And I'm like, if it's that deep and you have all these emotions for him going home, you should be leaving with him, right? If that's really how you really feel. But we know Hannah was playing the game. Like, Hannah's playing the game, putting on the show because she didn't leave. Of course not. But Charlie ends up telling her that when she comes out, if she hasn't found somebody in the house, come link up with me so we can see if we can at least have a chance to experience each other on the outside world. I said fake as fuck. Fake. Because I'm pretty sure Charlie, once he gets out in the real world, he's going to be talking to every other girl. Like, let's keep it real. But they start kissing. She ends up apologizing. He tells her not to. So we get back to the fire pit with the boys. Ace ends up asking Austin why he had picked Taylor to get voted off. And Austin's looking scared because it's Ace and his minions. They're all around. And I'm excluding Pepe and Jalen from this because they don't really know Ace and them like that anyways. But you know who else was around. And they're circling him at this point, and Austin's punk ass talking about something. I picked him because I couldn't make a choice. We know why you picked him. Like, let's keep it real. But Nick then says that you see how you're the reason that you basically sent your best friend home, basically not voting the way that we did because you voted for Taylor, which could have been a vote for Huda to go home, and now your best friend's gone. That's pretty much what he's stating. So Austin then says that he thought that Huda and Jeremiah had a good connection, which is why he didn't vote her out. Delusional. Granted, I see why he voted Taylor out in his mindset. If this is truly his mindset, it's pretty much stating like Taylor and Olandria did not have a connection, which we've all been saying. But Huda and Jeremiah, even though they connect on a sexual level, their connection is not a good connection either because it's toxic. It's based and rooted off of toxicity. That's not a good connection either. But Nick then says, no offense, Jeremiah, Charlie, and Hannah have been through all their trials. Oh, no. He says, no offense to Jeremiah, Charlie and Hannah have been through their trials and tribulations. I said, yeah, forced ones. Like, they forced those issues. That was all for camera time. But Jeremiah ends up stating me and Huda haven't. Nick says the biggest problem that y'all have is that y'all have had another man that Huda pretty much had another man making a pancake for her. He's pretty much trying to downplay what they've been through essentially. But Ace's face was mine because they've got a lot more issues than some damn pancakes. Like, you sit here acting like they haven't really had any issues. They have had issues. A lot of issues that were clear and in y'all's face. Ace knows because Ace has seen it. And granted, even though Ace has a hard on for them, a lot of what he's stating is true. Like, and I'm pretty sure he sees it. Granted, I know it's likely due to game strategy, but he also can see and clock the negativity in that relationship. But Jeremiah then says it's not his fault that Huda didn't want to get to know them, which is true. It's not his fault. But Jeremiah then says, how you going to sit here and tell me how to date? So Nick then says, why is she putting hickeys on your neck to the point where it's basically sending a nonverbal cue to every other girl that she's pretty much preventing you from being able to get to know those other women. Ace then says, you don't see how that's crazy? And I'm like, yeah, that is crazy. Like, low-key, it is, not even low-key, it's high-key crazy. But it's crazy because they're having this conversation and the girls are literally like 5 feet away from them. So they can hear everything that's going on, but they're not butting in. They're just over there pretty much eavesdropping. And Olandria ends up telling Huda to cover her ears. And Jeremiah then tells the boys that he and Huda had found a connection and they explored it. Ace then says, you bullshitting, you lying, and you scamming, and you sitting here acting like, you was all in on somebody. Well, you being all in on somebody on the first day is crazy. And it is crazy. It absolutely is crazy. But Jeremiah then says that that's the point of Love Island, is to find somebody. And I did that. Yes, that is the objective. But the way that y'all are going about it, it just doesn't seem legit, which is why I see why Ace is stating what he's stating. Granted, we can all benefit of the doubt. He essentially could be playing from a game strategy. But regardless, what he's stating is true. It is bullshit. It's a scam if you ask me. It is. But Jeremiah then says, that's the point of Love Island, like I just said. And then Ace ends up saying, so how are you so sure about somebody in 30 seconds? That's a good question. But also you need to ask yourself that as well, because weren't you up there asking Iris the other day if she believes in love at first sight, which is pretty much what you're stating, love at first sight with her, 30 seconds. But Nick ends up stating that America thinks the same, and we do. But Jeremiah is sitting there talking about how America's not in his relationship. I said, that's true, but they are correct. We see the bullshit that you clearly can't see when it's even in your face. But Jeremiah then says that he doesn't give a fuck how anybody feels about his relationship. I wish you believed that, because I don't believe it, because you let other people dictate how you move in your relationship. But Ace is like, cool. Jeremiah said, so if I'm on my bullshit and stay on that side. Ace said, I've been on this side since day one. It is true. He has been. But Jeremiah, he's in his confessional stating that he feels like he lost all his friends today. I said, okay, your friends, because some of them ain't really your friends. But Huda is telling the girls that it's not their fault that they have found each other, and it was God's plan for it to happen that way. She's sitting there crying, talking about how she feels like America hates her. I don't want to say hate, because I'd have to care about you to hate you. But I strongly dislike her. And I'm pretty sure America strongly dislikes you, especially after this episode. If they did before, they really going to dislike you now. But after this episode, I don't think there's plenty of people that will like you. Because the way you acted, you made an ass out of yourself. You look like a fool. But Olandria then says that they might be with you. And this is what pissed me off with these. I'm going to just state it right now. We're going to get to it later on. Everybody in that house pissed me off except for Iris. Iris was the only person that kept it real with this girl the entire time. Ace sort of did, but we'll get to it. But Olandria ends up stating they might be with you and they just might want you to wake up. You need to be more open-minded. You don't know what he's doing. Don't embarrass yourself behind pretty much going so hard for a man. I said it's too late for that because she's already embarrassed herself enough, and it had nothing to do with what Jeremiah was doing. Jeremiah did nothing to her, and that's what pissed me off later on. They were trying to paint it as if Jeremiah is the reason as to why this happened, when it's not. Jeremiah has not done anything to her to make her be a victim in the situation. Jeremiah is the victim in the situation, like, truth be told. But Huda ends up stating, why are grown men judging a couple if we're good? You're not good. That's the point. That's the point. Like, people can see through the bullshit because y'all are not good. Y'all are a toxic couple. That's just what it is. But she then says that she says they just don't like when people are happy. Y'all not happy. Y'all fight all the time. Y'all fight all the time. People can sense that. The people in the house can sense that. They're just too scared to tell you because they know you'll crash out and you 2 or 5 seconds away from literally possibly hitting somebody in the face. And the way she was acting later on, I was shocked she didn't end up hitting somebody because she gave off DV vibes, if you want to keep it real. But Huda then says that she feels like America thinks that she's not good enough for Jeremiah. You're not, truth be told. And she said she feels like we hate her and she's sorry. You're not. You're not. But the boys, they end up going to say goodbye to Charlie, who I forgot was even still in the house at this point. But they're in there helping him pack and stuff. And Austin's crying in his confessional, saying that he's regretful picking what he picked because Charlie's now leaving. But the boys, they end up going to take a picture with Charlie one last time. And they're all saying goodbye, including the girls. Chelley and Amaya, they're still crying. Hannah sitting there crying, hugging Charlie goodbye, and they end up kissing. I said, Pepe, you better see who you dealing with. Just see who you dealing with. But Pepe ain't no better either, but we're going to get to him in a minute. But Charlie ends up stating that it's a shame because he feels like they don't realize what he and Hannah are and what they have. I said, y'all really ain't got shit. Because if y'all did, she wouldn't have entertained Pepe. But Hannah is laying in her bed looking for a moment. This was clearly for camera time. She's sitting there with the picture of them, with the photo booth picture of them, sitting there crying on it. I said, you just literally wanted a moment. You wanted that meme. That's what that was. But Olandria, she's telling Iris and Chelley that it's so much tension that she just don't know what to do. Iris then says maybe America sees Jeremiah, and she couldn't even finish because Olandria cuts her off and says as a fraud. I was like, no. And Iris said no. Like, you need to just test your connection, essentially. Basically, if you want to put it that way, I get it. But Amaya, she's telling them that the guys got into it with Jeremiah. And Olandria is pretty much stating that America is seeing the shit that we haven't seen. Yes, but you've seen it. I feel like Olandria knows because she clocked Huda on day 2. Y'all remember when the Huda fans got online trying to get them pitchforks out for Olandria, saying she's not a girl's girl. But as we see, who's the one that's really not a girl's girl? Y'all was sitting there calling Olandria a bad girl and not a girl's girl in defense of Huda, who is the only girl on this house or in this villa that is not a girl's girl. But Olandria then says in her confessionals that America threw them and tore them a new asshole, and it's crazy as fuck up in here because everybody's beefing at this point. We get Jeremiah and Austin, and Jeremiah is pretty much stating that he's trying to figure out how he's the bad guy in all this. He's like, I ain't even vote, I ain't even send nobody home, I ain't even do shit, but I'm really just surprised about Nick's reaction. Austin says he's not shocked because Nick is essentially Ace's follower. This is like, is that true or not? But Nick, honestly, I said here in this moment that he got his own mind and it's not his fault that he sees through the bullshit, but does Nick really see through the bullshit? We'll get to it in a minute. But Austin then says that Ace is just going to tell them what to do and they're going to do it. But Ace then tells Taylor, Pepe, and Jalen as they're having this conversation that the shit is a scam. Like, you came in here so sure on day 1, you closed off and you sitting here bullshitting me. He says all of America sees it. He pretty much says, too, that they trying to get to the end, trying to pretty much stay together so that they can say that they got from day 1 to the end together to hope to win. And I'm like, he's preaching. Like, honestly, that's what I would think, too. But, whatever. He's talking from a game perspective because I'm pretty sure Ace is trying to find his best way to win. Ace is not here for love. Ace is here for the money. So he sees these two as his biggest threat to get to the end. That's why he's talking, but he ain't lying. It's true, but it also could be applied to him too in a different way. But he ends up asking, like, am I the only person peeping this shit? And they pretty much state, like, no, you're not. But Ace then says, I will be damned if a person who's actually in here trying to make connections ends up getting sent home. Fuck that. But Austin is over there with Jeremiah and says, why is Ace so emotional about this? He's standing so passionately. I'm not even doing it. Yeah, because you never would, because you don't have the confidence to do it. You don't even have the confidence to court a woman that you claim that you are interested in. We know you wouldn't do it. Austin is the type of dude that if Chelley was to be his girlfriend in the real world, the way he acts in his damn villa is indicative of how he would act in real life. If a nigga tried to come up and try to talk and try and swoop Chelley up, he wouldn't have no problem at all. Unless Chelley stops it, he would have no issue pulling Chelley from Austin. But Austin then says that he doesn't think that it was fair for them to go after Jeremiah for his connection, and Jeremiah should be pissed that he had gotten split up. But the fact that Jeremiah is not pissed says everything. He ain't got no emotions at all. Like, he's just tripping about the fact that they just came at him. He ain't really worried about it. But Jeremiah, he hasn't shed a tear yet. Like, Huda's over there in a puddle of tears. Jeremiah didn't. And I find it funny because if y'all remember in the cast reveal, one of his main talking points was that he was super emotional. Like, he said he'll cry at the drop of a hat. He wasn't crying. That told me everything I needed to know. But Hannah, she goes to pull Pepe. She's telling him that she doesn't want him to feel bad for how it all played out because it's not his fault. Yeah, we know because it's yours. But she ends up stating that she doesn't want to invalidate their connection. What connection? Because you literally told Charlie that y'all don't have one. It's surface level shit. It's like, now you're trying to play games now. We see what you're doing. But she then says that she realizes that this is his journey and he deserves to find something. And he then says that he'll take things slow and not rush into anything. I'm like, you need to wake up. But he then says that he wants to make sure that she's okay. She says she is. She says she's just a crybaby. But she gets in her confessionals and says that there was a spark between them and people obviously saw that, so he deserves a fair chance. Now, people only voted for you because y'all was tonguing each other down in the damn speakeasy. There's no connection there. Like, come on. But we all know how America is when certain people get connected. I ain't even got to say it. You know what I'm putting down. But Huda, she comes walking to Ace to pull Ace to go pretty much pick his brain. So she ends up asking if there's something that they're not telling her. Don't make me look stupid. She thinks, this is how you know she's a narcissist. She thinks that America voted the way that we did because she feels like Jeremiah is doing something to her. She's so narcissistic that she doesn't think that she could have done anything wrong. She lacks self-awareness to the point where she doesn't realize what she's doing. And that she's the reason why this happened. But he ends up stating the conversations that y'all have scare me because it's giving a lot of like love bombing type shit. And he's like, it just looks like it's an agenda for y'all to get to the end and leave the villa together. And he says, I'm not buying it. And Huda ends up stating that she gets it. But Ace then says some people felt the same way, and obviously America did too. Jeremiah is now talking to Iris, and she's asking him how he feels. He's smirking, stating that he just didn't know why America voted that way, but he was caught off guard. I said, he don't really care about Huda. I mean, he probably do, but he don't at the same time. But Iris then says that this is the only place where it's socially acceptable for you to pretty much get to know other people and talk to a bunch of different people at the same time. And America might be seeing this as you needing to go test your relationship because of all the fighting. Jeremiah then says that they had a bad argument a couple of days ago, but kind of got it back together. I said, it's more than just that one little spat that y'all had. Y'all had many of issues. But Ace is telling Huda it's a red flag that she lets people in so quick on day one. That's a fact. But Huda then says, I can tell you one thing. Or she said, can I tell you something? And I immediately knew she about to pull this mom card. She only talks about being a mom when she's trying to manipulate somebody. Like, she barely talks about her daughter unless she is literally trying to get something over on somebody. Like, have y'all not noticed that? Like, that's what she's doing. But she ends up telling him that she's a mom. That's why she's been moving the way she does in this villa. I said, so you've been fucking around with Jeremiah, getting finger blasted, it looks like, doing all of that. But that's how you moving because you're a mom? You've been out here calling women bitches that you don't even know. That's because you're a mom? That's the type of example you want to set for your daughter? Obviously, she's not watching it now, but she'll eventually see it. And that's what you want to set your daughter? Crazy. She's delusional. But Ace then says, okay, I understand. But she then says it's not easy to date as a single mom. And he obviously understands because his mother is a single mother. And she ends up stating that I left her to have an experience. And clearly America doesn't agree with my experience. We don't. Because we see how you act. But Ace then says, I want you to understand America's perspective. This situation that y'all got going on, people are seeing y'all so locked in that it could be a blessing in disguise. It is for well, we'll get to it. But Ace then says, I want you to understand that. Huda ends up stating in her confessionals as she's crying, talking about she doesn't understand what she's not seeing. But Jeremiah is telling Iris that the guys essentially are blaming him for getting so close to Huda. And Iris is like, they shouldn't do that. She doesn't feel like they should. But Jeremiah then says what sucks most is losing the guys. I said, oh, that's what sucks most. So losing and not being coupled up with Huda don't mean shit to you. But Iris then says like things happen for a reason. He agrees to it. She apologizes for everything that's happening. And he ends up telling her you don't have to. I started laughing because Iris is basically collateral for all of our messy antics. Because she really hasn't done anything besides get in here and have conversations. But she's being looked at by Huda as the messy bombshell who hasn't really done anything but do what she's supposed to. But Huda Then tells Ace that she appreciates him for being real with her, and it's making her second guess what she's got going on because clearly what she thought isn't entirely true. Still lacking self-awareness, she thinks Jeremiah is doing something behind her back. But Ace is just shaking his head. Ace and Taylor, they're having a conversation. As they're having a conversation, Olandria and Jalen, they're over on the dock talking. And Ace is telling him, like, you see what happens when you don't step it up, a.k.a. look at Olandria and Jalen, you get put in situations like this. I said, you're right, but I'm just waiting on the same thing to happen to you. Because you doing the same, well, you ain't doing the same thing because you at least are applying pressure, but you playing games too. And I can't wait to see whenever that day happens where the game gets played on you. But he ends up asking if he can see himself long-term with Olandria, asking Taylor. And Taylor says, for sure, quit lying. Like, quit lying. You couldn't even say it convincingly. But Olandria and Jalen, they're having a conversation, and she tells him, like, I expected this. I expected them to put us together. Jalen says he feels good about it, obviously, because he's been interested in her. He's been vocalizing that, and he's been consistent with it. And he tells her, I've been interested in you since day one. And Olandria was pretty much saying, like, she needed this because it's going to help her see what relationship works best for her. As we all know, it ain't Taylor. We're still trying to see about Jalen, which we'll get to it later on. We're going to get to that day later on. That was a good moment in this episode. But she ends up saying that she's excited to explore the connection with him. But Ace is telling Taylor that women like effort. What have we been saying all season? He says, like, if Jalen starts matching your energy, I'm like, matching his energy? Like, Taylor's energy is on the floor. Like, Jalen came in here. He already surpassed his energy. Like, what are you talking about? But he says if he matches your energy, it may be the best man winning type of game. So it's not overstep to overstep. It's not hard to overstep his energy. But Taylor is stating that Olandria is hella cool. I'm like, yeah, because you look at her as like a friend. But Ace then tells him to lock in. Everybody's getting ready for the night. Huda is upstairs with the girls crashing the fuck out, crying, having a her moment. It's all about Huda. Everybody else gotta always be worried about Huda. But she's crying, telling the girls that Jeremiah he did not check on her not one time, and he didn't. He didn't. She got a point, but it's just like, do I feel bad for her because of the way she treats him? No. Should he, as a man in the relationship, go check up on his woman? Yes. But this is a different case. This is a different case. I'm not mad at him. I wouldn't check up on her either because she's psycho. But she then said she feels stupid and trusted him with so much. I almost got voted off because he wasn't genuine. That's not why you almost got voted off. You almost got voted off because of you. I said because you're too much. Insert Lorianne Gibson. It's too much. But we voted this way to basically give him a break from you and give us a break from watching your bullshit. But Jeremiah is sitting in the speakeasy, and the girls are telling her to think about it as America protected her. This is where they started to really piss me off because they're feeding into her delusions. They're not keeping it real with her. Somebody like her, you got to keep it real with. You can't sit here and let her keep thinking that she's not doing anything wrong. And that's what they're doing because they're scared of telling her the truth. But Huda is in the shower now talking about she don't want to be with a man like that because he's a bitch. This is the first of many times that she called that man out of his name this episode. This right here made me mad. But it got gradually worse as the episode goes on. And we'll get to it in a minute. But he's walking around outside of the shower waiting on her to come out. She comes out. He's sitting there trying to talk to her. She walks right past him. And he's sitting there saying, I never lied to you. I never lied to you. Jeremiah then tells Austin that he should have comforted her, but he was so fucked up. Basically, he was trying to process everything. It makes sense. But he then says that she was actually up there talking crazy. And I'm like, yes, she's been talking crazy to you. And you haven't done anything about it, which is why she continues to do it. You need to put your foot down. You need to leave her alone. Let her know that she can't have access to you because she's doing whatever she wants to do with you and you allow it to happen. You need to be a man. She ends up telling him that later on, but it's true. Because the way he's acting is like a bitch because he's allowing her to bitch him. But I'm on his side. Like, it's fucked up. Like, who the fuck do you think you are? Because if he would have been talking to her, we're going to get to it. We're going to get to it. But Jeremiah, it's bedtime. He's actually in the bed with Iris, which I was floored by because I thought for sure he was not going to sleep there with him. But Huda, she gets in the bed and she's sitting up in the bed with her face in her hands, crying. Like, I'm like, the dramatics. But Hannah is in the bed laughing with Pepe. Like 2 or 3 hours ago, she was out here boo-hoo crying about Charlie. Don't seem too upset anymore. But let me pause so I can get a water break real quick. So in the middle of the night, the Bombshells end up getting a text at 5 a.m. pretty much letting them know that the recoupled couples are going to be going on a triple date. So, and they have to do it in secret. So they're going to leave without letting everybody know. So they're going to get ready. And I'm like, oh, the crash out with Huda is about to happen. So they head on off. Excuse me. Jeremiah is stating that after hearing what Huda had said about him, it made him realize what America was trying to do, which is basically look out for him. I said, you finally woke up. The first night that he was not laying in the bed with Huda, he finally put two and two together and started thinking logically. This right here blew me. Huda gets up first, and it seems like it's still early. Everybody else was asleep. This heifer gets up and realizes, because she gets up and she looks over to where Jeremiah and Iris were laying, sees they're not there. So she gets up. She's looking in the bed like a psycho. And this chick decides to go sit and see where Taylor's at. Taylor's laying in the bed by himself. She goes to wake him up. Not only does she go to wake him up mid-sleep, she starts tapping on his head to wake him up. I'm telling you right now, me, the way I am, when I'm asleep, if you ever wake me up, you might have a problem on your hands. But if you ever put your hands on me tapping my face to wake me up, Huda would have got cussed the fuck out. I'm telling you right now. She would have got cussed clean out. Clean out. But she woke Taylor up talking about some of the Bombshells are on a date. He don't give a fuck. He didn't even care to be with Olandria when he was with her. Like, let's be so for real. He does not care. Let that man sleep. But she's now sitting back in the bed and she's crying at 5 a.m. like a lunatic, talking about something. I hate this. I hate this. Go to sleep. Go to sleep. But Amaya and Chelley, they end up getting up, hugging her as everybody else is waking up. And I'm like, stop babying her. That's the whole problem. She's doing all this shit because she wants attention. Y'all need to just ignore her. But everybody's waking up. She's telling them Jeremiah did me dirty and he gets rewarded for a date with a date. How did he do you dirty? How? So they're sitting there looking at her like she's a psycho. And I'm like, I'd have cussed her clean out. Because me personally, in the morning, I don't know if y'all the same way. I don't like talking. Like, I do not like talking early in the morning. Like 8, 9 o'clock, don't talk to me. Don't call me. Don't talk to me. So for her to be sitting here doing all of this at 8 a.m. in the morning and they all looking like they just woke up. Like, they all look irritated with her. But Taylor ends up telling Nick as they walked out, the girls, he ends up telling Nick that she woke him up. And Nick was like, literally? And Nick was like, yeah, like she's literally waking up. Well, Nick was saying like waking up is not going to bring Jeremiah back from the date. Like, hello? But the boys, they're downstairs making breakfast. Ace. Because Iris is now with Jeremiah and she's on a date, he now wants to start thinking about Chelley again. So now he wants to start making her, doing a date and making her breakfast. So he starts having his Ace Boon Coon, Taylor, do what Taylor does for him all the time. Pretty much be his wingman to do what he needs to do. So they're playing some ping pong and pancakes type of shit. So he basically wants this to be for Chelley. So Jeremiah ends up stating that, nope, I'm overlooking something. But the boat date. The couples that are out on the date, they're on this boat. The Fiji water looks so refreshing and looks beautiful. Jeremiah and Iris, they're boating. They're getting to know each other. He's actually talking to her. He's engaged. I said, you see how peaceful it can be whenever you are in a healthy situation? Like, I don't want to call what they got going on a relationship because it's not. But you can explore other women and actually have peace. You can have peace. And Iris is very peaceful. But Jalen and Olandria, they're walking down the beach holding hands. And Pepe and Hannah, they're snorkeling. Back at the house, Ace ends up going upstairs to pull the girls, talking about something. I got a surprise for y'all. A surprise for Chelley. But he had the other girls sit down there so he could perform. But they get downstairs and Taylor and Nick are acting out Ace's plan for Chelley. Amaya and Cierra are down there watching it. Chelley ends up beating him in ping pong or whatever. Austin's sitting there watching, not doing anything about it as usual, but he's going to complain about it later on. But Chelley ends up beating Ace in the ping pong. Chelley ends up stating that those things, she says this in her confessionals. She says those things mean so much to me and Ace is growing on me and I just don't know. I said, this is embarrassing. Chelley, every single time he does this type of shit is because he either is over the person he's coupled up with or he no longer has the person that he was trying to entertain in his face. He only does this stuff with Chelley as a backup plan or a second option. And she knows that, which is why it's weird that she's continuing to do it, but she continues to make herself available. She needs to tell him no when he does this shit. Like when he literally comes up to her trying to court her and date her, when there's no other option there or his option is no longer available for him to do stuff and talk to them, she needs to tell him no. He's going to keep doing it, obviously, because he knows he can. Because she's always going to be available for him. And at that point, I can't feel bad for Chelley. Because you're making yourself available to somebody who is literally playing a game and running game on you. But back on the date, Hannah and Pepe, they're talking about love languages and her past relationship non-negotiables. She ends up stating that it was hard for her to be vulnerable with people and she just doesn't want her relationship to define her. He ends up talking about how he's big on finding somebody with the same drive and ambition, which made me laugh thinking about his responses to conversations and questions. His ex, I don't know if y'all saw it on TikTok, she came out stating that he was lying about him owning that gym, stating that he actually just works for the gym. I find that interesting. And I find it kind of believable because, like I said the other day, it's clear he tells these women what he thinks they want to hear. But Jalen and Olandria, this was the sweet spot. This was one of the sweet spots. But this one was really, really wholesome. They're having a massage. She's laying on that table looking like a cover girl model. Like, that woman is beautiful, man. Like, she looks like a black Barbie. But they start talking about him being close with his family. And we find out that his mom raised him as a single mother. Olandria relates on that as well because she was raised by a single mom. So they're connecting on a lot of things. As we all know, they're from the South. They have that connection now. And it was just refreshing to see her actually having a conversation of substance with somebody that is interested in her and makes it pretty clear that he is. And it's just also good that they're having a conversation of substance because she got a man right there that actually can handle her intellect, handle her maturity level. That is refreshing. Taylor's not on that level. He's not on that level. But she then says like her being raised by a single mother made it hard for her letting a man lead her. And she just doesn't want to be like that forever. Essentially, she wants to be a passenger princess. But she then says that she can be a lover girl, but she just protects her. But it's going to take the right guy to bring it out of her. And he ends up asking her, like, do you want to start a family? He's asking the questions that somebody that is interested in a woman wants to know. You see if she's interested in a family, wanting to have a family. Y'all can see, okay, we're aligning on this. A lot of things are making sense for us. So she obviously wants to. She says she wants 4 kids. She said 4 kids is the max, 2 is the minimum. She says she might change her mind because kids are bad as fuck, which they are. They both started laughing. He then turns to get his massage now. And he was enjoying her massage. And he like, oh, you know what you're doing? And she's like, nah, I'm just... No, she said, child, I'm back here freestyling. I love the lack of code switch. I love it. Love it. And it's essentially, they look like the real mom and dad, the mom and dad that Huda tries to claim. But yeah, I love their date. It was very wholesome. But Taylor is talking to Nick and Ace back at the house. The narrator says it's clear that Taylor needs to step up his game to get Olandria back. So Ace decided to crack the whip. Exactly. Taylor can't do anything to pursue Olandria without Ace's help, because he doesn't want to do it. That's what it is. But Ace ends up telling Taylor, like, your biggest problem is your lack of urgency. And he ends up telling him and Nick that breakfast is the bare minimum, which it is. And it's crazy because they're older than him and they're letting a 22-year-old pretty much teach them how to court a woman. Like, it's wild. But he says, listen to what these women are saying, because Taylor's like, what do I do? Like, how am I supposed to do something in here? He says, listen to what these women say. Like, listen to what they like, and you make shit work. You be creative. Like, hello? It's not hard. It's not hard to court a woman. It's not hard. Like what he said, you listen to what they're talking about. You have conversations. Ask them what they like. You then put mental notes in your head and say, okay, well, she likes this. I'm going to do this to make her feel special because that's what she likes. I want to show her that I'm listening to her. I see what she likes. These niggas is older than him, and he's giving them a class. But Taylor then says that Jalen got handed Olandria, and then says he ain't even do nothing or work for it. He didn't get handed her. He came in and expressed the interest actually applied pressure, and America rewarded him with Olandria because guess what? She deserved somebody that actually was vocal about wanting to be with her because you have not. You have not done anything. You talking about he ain't done nothing. You ain't done shit, bro. Like, what are you talking about? What are you talking about? So then he's sitting there talking about he wants to take her on a date today. If she wants to go on a date today, I'll give her a date today. I said, today, you're literally on Love Island. You have nothing to do but literally do things for that woman. If you really wanted to be with her, you would find ways to do things every single day for that woman. Cordell would have done that shit with Serena. Like, come on. And that's the difference. That's how you know. But Amaya and Huda are having a conversation. Amaya was pissing me off here too. Telling her everything that she needs to hear, or at least everything that she wants to hear. She's telling her you have every right to feel the way that you do. Huda starts talking about how, saying that she started thinking that if Jeremiah was love bombing her on day one. I said, like, you didn't literally tell him on day one that you loved him. Like, be for real. So she then says that she's trying to trust her intuition and it's not making sense. So she then says, what kind of man is not checking in on me? Which, I mean, I get it. As you are his woman, he should be. But you're a different case. Like I said, I wouldn't check up on her either. She could go be by herself. But she then says that he tells her that he wants to be dominant and assertive, but she takes control. But she has to take control because he's a bitch. I said, she got one more time. Because disrespectful. Like, are you out of your mind? Are you out of your mind? But Amaya is sitting there feeding into her bullshit. I'm like, why are you literally gassing her up to think that the way she's acting is okay? She's basically telling her, like, yeah, he ain't shit. He ain't done nothing. And you know he hasn't. But Huda is sitting there talking about Jeremiah is selfish as you're literally talking about you and only you. And have been since day one. Since day one. You don't care about him. You don't ask him anything unless it has something to do with you. Do you like me? Do you think I'm cute? Why don't you ask him how he's doing? Why don't you ask him how his mental is? What do you like doing, Jeremiah? I don't think we've ever heard her ask what he likes about his life. What does he like to do? It's always her talking about me. Me, I'm a mom. I have a daughter. I want to fuck you. Like, she's not, please. But she then says that it's always been about him, not been about me. She said it's going to take a miracle for him to win me back. Yeah, okay. But Jeremiah and Iris, they're on their date. This also was wholesome because he's laughing and having a good time. It's just like, see, Jeremiah, this is what we wanted for you. We wanted for you to actually explore and actually take some of these women seriously and actually try and get to know them because you might actually have a good time. Everything doesn't have to always be a struggle. It doesn't have to be struggle love. So they're laughing, and this is also the first time Iris really was glowing. Like, she was glowing. You could tell she actually really is interested in getting to know him. He is her top preference. It's clear he's her top preference because the conversation that they had, she just seemed super light. She seemed boring in the other conversations, truthfully. But here she seemed interesting to me. But he asked her about her dating life, which I was like, he's actually asking her questions about stuff. And she lives in LA. He lives in LA. Huda lives in North Carolina. All the way across the country. But they're in the same city. It could work. But she's actually bubbly with him. She ends up telling him that LA people are crazy because you go on a couple of dates with them and they think you married. He cracked me up because she started chuckling and he started chuckling too. He says, yeah, like, I mean, I know a little bit of everything about that here recently. And he inadvertently was talking about Huda, but he clocked it. But Jeremiah, like I said, he seems light with her. And when I say light, he just seems like he's got a fresh energy and a fresh, renewed sense of peace within himself. But she then says that she likes to take things slow. And she's smiling and everything. He's making eye contact with her. He's taking her in, and it was just a good moment. But she ends up asking him if he's interested in getting to know her more because she's more interested in wanting to get to know him. And he says that he is. I said, good job, Jeremiah. Good job. But they finished hugging, and they walk off skipping, holding hands. I said, oh. But Austin and Shelley, I'm telling y'all now, I'm not writing any more notes down when they have these. They don't talk about nothing but the same shit. This damn love triangle. I don't know if I want to keep pursuing you. Okay, Austin. The same stupid shit. I'm not about to write that shit down no more. I want them to bring in a bombshell for Chelley. Because I don't want her with Austin and I don't want her with Ace. I don't. She needs a bombshell that's going to come in here and be all about her. Be all about her. Give her all that energy. Because I'm tired of it. But they had a conversation about the same shit that they've been having conversations about every single fucking day. I'm not writing it down. But Huda and Nick. He ends up telling her that he loves all of them that were standing there. And that decision wasn't easy for him and it wasn't personal towards her. I said, bullshit, Nick. Yeah, I was just giving you props about keeping it real, but you ain't keeping it real now. So he ends up stating that his gut told him that her and Jeremiah were tunnel vision and he was disappointed in the way that people are moving around the villa. I said, people? Keep it real and say you. The way she is moving around the villa. Jeremiah, I mean, I guess you could say him, but it's really her. It's really her, but he's too scared to say it to her. But she ends up stating that she feels like she was blindsided. And he says, like, you declared to Iris that Jeremiah was your man, pretty much about that hickey. And he's like, I love you and I didn't want to discredit your feelings, but I'm happy that we're having this conversation. She then says that she's one of the most understanding people in the world. Shut up. Shut up. But Ace and Chelley, they're sitting down and he's playing in her ear, like flirting with her. And she's telling him that she doesn't think that she can trust him. And he says, I wouldn't trust me either. If you don't listen to what this nigga is saying to you, like, listen, he's giving you all the hints about him. But he ends up pulling a fast one on her again to get her to bring her face close to him so he can kiss her on the cheek. He playing the game. She's laughing and eating it up. He got her looking goofy. Elise about to tear. Elise about to get her together. But they ended up hearing the couples because the couples are coming back from their date. And they screaming and stuff. They see them now. Huda, the crash out is loading. She's salty. She goes and puts her sunglasses on. So I don't give a fuck. But your body language, the way you act, it says otherwise. But everybody else goes over to greet the couples as they're coming back into the villa. She's sitting over there with her sunglasses on, trying to act unbothered when you're clearly bothered. Like, doing that shows that you're bothered. Like, if you were unbothered, you would have walked over there and greeted them. But you sitting there trying to get attention, that's literally proving that you're bothered. But Taylor ends up picking up Olandria and kisses her, performative. Jeremiah ends up seeing Huda and noticing that she's avoiding him. He don't really go over there to her. But Amaya goes over there trying to get her up and get her to engage. I'm like, Amaya, leave her alone. She literally wants this attention and you're literally giving it to her. Like, I would not pay her any mind in that villa if it was me. But Jeremiah is over there telling the boys about the date. This is where the boys pissed me all the way off. But they're asking him if he had fun. He said he did. Olandria is over there telling the girls about their date because, what's that girl's name? Iris is upstairs with the other bombshells. But Olandria is telling them about the date. Huda's sitting there looking pressed as a panini. But Hannah then says that Pepe has surprised her. I'm like, okay, whatever. Whatever. But Huda then gets up because she can't handle anything else being about anybody else but her. So she gets up and she sucked the energy right out of their conversation. They stopped talking and they're watching her walking away because she clearly is starting to form tears in her eyes because she's jealous. But she claims that she's going to the bathroom. So Jeremiah is over there talking to the boys saying that Iris was mad fun. Like, I had a good time with her. Austin ends up asking Jeremiah, like, where do you stand with her? Jeremiah says Huda is cooked. He said, I'm not going to lie to you. I said, good. She needs to be. He then says that he heard her calling him a bitch and a liar. And she ends up going and walking by them. She's walking by them. I'm pretty sure Jeremiah saw her, but nobody else really reacted. But she goes to walk and go sit on those stairs right behind where they are. I thought she had to go to the bathroom. Right. But she goes and sits over there to eavesdrop. So Ace is now sitting there saying that he wants everybody to be real and be honest. Jeremiah says, in hindsight, I would have rather Huda go home. I said, I know that's right. But they then asked him if he feels like there was a reason for her reaction. And he says, because I didn't go and comfort her. And Nick ends up asking, why didn't you do it? Jeremiah says that, I could have, should have, would have. Shout out to Tammy Talks. Because Tammy, if y'all know Tammy Talks, she always calls her Huda, coulda, shoulda. That cracked me up because he shaded her. That was crazy. But Nick then says, what did he say? Nick says, as a man, you should go comfort her. That is true. But fuck you, because now you're trying to play reverse. I knew it immediately that they was going to try and flip this back on him. That's what happened. But Nick then says that I did lose respect for you because of the way that you handled last night because you didn't go and comfort her. I said, shut the fuck up, Nick. Because the way you treated Belle Dasher, he could have lost respect for you too. Like, Nick blew me. But Huda then gets up to go eavesdrop. She's now standing over behind... She's behind them to where they can't see her, but we see her standing there being a psycho. Like, how did she pass the psych evaluation? There's no way she did. But Nick then says that their biggest, talking about Jeremiah and Huda, y'all's biggest challenge was last night. And if you can't walk or at least work through those things like that, then you just don't want to. Why should he want to? But he then says that you literally had a great day with Iris while Huda was sitting here crying all day. I said, but you didn't talk about the fact that she was calling him all types of bitches, calling him out of his name. Fuck you, Nick. But Jeremiah then says that he can't control going on a date and not being here for her. And that's the truth. Like, they literally set the date up for him. What is he supposed to do? Sit here? And if he would have said, no, I don't want to go on the date, y'all would have had an issue with that. Like, be so for real. But Nick then says that it sounds like you don't want to be with Huda because she called you a bitch in the shower. Why would he want to be with a woman who disrespects him? Why? Like, it's crazy how they try to make it seem like he was the one in the wrong. Like, I'm like, you're crazy. And it's crazy because I'm like, what if roles reversed and he called her a hoe because she got on here popping that thing and gave it to him quick? And has been every single time, trying to seduce him every time they have an issue. What if he called her a hoe? Would he be wrong? Would he be wrong? That's my question to Nick. But especially, what if she called you a bitch? What if you was actually with her and trying to get to know her and she called you a bitch? Would you want to still sit there and deal with her? No, exactly. But Huda's mouth is open, sitting there listening to it. But Jeremiah then says that y'all been telling me to explore, and now that I'm doing it, now I'm still in the hot seat. I said, exactly. But you got to stop doing what they tell you to do. Just do what Jeremiah wants to do. But you're doing what you're supposed to do. But Huda then comes back out and then interrupts them, talking about something, by all means, explore everything. And then says, fuck you. She's psychotic. So she then goes walking over there to the girls. Everybody out there can hear her. So she goes walking back to them after she lied about going to the bathroom because she didn't go to the bathroom. And she comes over to them calling him a bitch again. She said because he said that he had a great date with Iris and he's using her as an scapegoat, dummy. Go back to school, a scapegoat, fool. But then she says to stay in the game. The girls are sitting there confused, like, what the fuck are you talking about? She then tells him that she sat there and listened to everything that he was saying. I said, if that don't scream psychopath, like, I don't know what does. But she turns around and yells across the yard that you're a bitch. When I tell you, I felt so heated, like I felt myself getting heated. That woman is foul. Like, I don't like that woman at all. I don't hate nobody, but I strongly dislike her. She is a piece of work. And the fact that she has a child acting like this on TV, acting like this, period, is unacceptable. But for her to do this on TV, knowing that her child's eventually going to see this, that's insane. Insane. So she then doubles down on it and then calls him a pussy ass bitch, screaming it. I said, the disrespect. And they're telling, Cierra tells her to keep it classy, and she starts screaming at her, talking about something. Well, I've been sitting here crying all day. That's nobody's fault but your own. That's nobody's fault but your own. She's literally ruining everybody's experience because everybody is walking on pins and needles. They're not keeping it real with her. The girls are sitting there having to control, pretty much trying to console her the entire time instead of getting to know everybody else that they need to be getting to know. It's the Huda show. She's making it all about her. She's sucking all the energy out of the villa. It blows my mind. It pisses me off. And Amaya was pissing me off sitting there telling her everything she wanted to hear. Not the truth. But she then runs off to go pull Iris for a chat. They go up to Soul Ties. She, thinking she run the villa, tells Jalen and Pepe, who was sitting up there with Iris, that they can go downstairs so she can talk to her in private. I said, who the fuck do you think you are? But Huda and Iris, they're up there talking in Soul Ties. She ends up asking her how the date went. Iris said, like, we had a conversation and he pretty much stated that he was open to exploring. She then calls him a bitch again. Like, if anybody would call her outside of her name, it would be warranted. If they wanted to call her a hoe, a bitch, a skank, a tramp, a dirty ass hoe, I wouldn't feel bad about it. Cause you've called so many people, you've disrespected every single person damn near in this damn villa. You started with Olandria and Chelley. That was disrespectful if you ask me. You disrespect Jeremiah. You disrespected Amaya, calling her a bitch when she came in here. You disrespected Iris many times, calling her a bitch when she got in here. Who the fuck do you think you are? Who do you think you are? But she didn't ask about the date. Like I said, the girls, they decide to come upstairs because they probably think she probably about to do something crazy. So they get up there and they're sitting up there around them as they're having this conversation. And she's asking Iris about the date, saying, did he say anything about me on the date? They're not talking. They're on a date to get to know each other. They're not going to sit and talk about you. Why would he be talking about you on a date with another woman? Like, shut up. But Iris pauses and says no. And she says he just said that it was a stressful situation. And Iris then says, Iris is the only one keeping it real with her, though. That's the whole point. She's the only one keeping it real with her. But Huda then asks, like, what was the date about? And she ends up telling her, like, it was just us sitting down on the beach. She starts sitting there getting emotional. It's my dream date. And he knows that. She said that, like, he set the date up. He just did what he was supposed to do. They told him to do it, and he did it. But she ends up sitting there crying about how she was hearing how happy they were, and it kills me. And hearing how happy y'all are, it kills me. I said, it's time for her to go. Because she was sucking the life out of them and me. Watching it, I was just like, this is just too much. But Iris is sitting there saying it's not worth you being upset about. Like, it's not. She said it's not worth fighting for somebody that doesn't give you what you claim you need. She don't need nothing but therapy, and she needs to love herself. That's where it all starts. She hates herself. And it's clear. The way she lashes out, everything I just said that she did that makes me not like her, it's because she don't love herself, and she lashes out on other people because she doesn't have that self-love. That's why she's screaming that her and Jeremiah are the mom and the dad. She's screaming that they have the strongest connection. She wants to believe that. The more she says it, she thinks she's going to believe it. She cannot be in a relationship until she does the inner work within herself to love herself first. And she's not at that point, which is scary too with her being a mom. Because if you don't love yourself already, how are you going to love your child? How are you going to love your future husband? How are you going to love your future children? She needs help. She needs help. And it's not on the show. She needs to go home. Truthfully talk. It's funny to think of her crashing out. But a crash out like this, that is unwatchable. It's not something I want to subscribe to. But Ace is telling Jeremiah, I didn't want to save you, essentially. But this is the type of shit that essentially would set it up, because they can hear her up there acting a fool. Ace is pretty much telling him, like, she fucked up because you set a bar so high, which is hard to come back from. But it's time for nighttime. Huda ends up stating that Iris moves so weird. She's telling this to Olandria and a couple of other girls upstairs. She moves so weird because she hides everything. I said, the one that was keeping it real with you. But she then says, she talks about how she's such a girl's girl when she's not. That's the audacity of you. You're the only one in the house that's not. But she then says that Jeremiah is telling Nick, Ace, and Taylor that losing them was the part that hurt the most. Nick is telling him, you still my dog. Austin ends up telling Taylor that he feels like he betrayed him. So we get downstairs. Jeremiah ends up pulling Huda for a chat. I said, I don't want to see this. I don't want to see it. But of course, her performative ass goes because she was putting on a show talking about something. He going to have to do anything in his power. He got to do something. He got to make him. It's got to be a miracle for him to win me back. She was so quick to go talk to him. So they go to the speakeasy. And they're sitting in silence at first. He ends up apologizing. I'm like, for what? For what? After everything she did, I wouldn't apologize to nothing. Absolutely nothing. Because what you did is nothing to what she's been doing to you. But he then says, there's no way that I could explain last night. He said, I froze. I shut down. I'm genuinely sorry about everything that happened. So she then says, that's something that you do. You like to play victim. I said, bitch, like, you need a mirror because you're the one playing the victim. You're literally the aggressor. You're the villain, and you're the one acting like the victim. Like, be so for real. But she then says she notices patterns that are selfish. She says last night was the biggest one. Yeah, for you. And today was as well. But he's literally proving that what she said might be true, that he is a bitch, because he's letting her talk to him all types of crazy. It couldn't be me. But she then tells him that he doesn't care about her. He cuts her off and says, I'm not gonna argue with you. She says, I'm not even done. He says, I'm not gonna let you talk for 20 minutes like you always do, because I can't get a word in. And that's how it usually goes. I'm like, I'm glad you finally said that. But she then says, I was seconds away from getting voted off because of you. She said, I was sitting here checking in on everybody, including you. No, you wasn't, you liar. you was not checking up on Jeremiah. Just as he wasn't checking up on you, you wasn't checking up on him. Like, let's keep it all the way a beam. But he then says that he promises that he does give a fuck about her, because she says, you didn't give a fuck about me. And she then says, like, when I needed you, you weren't there. He says, I was checked out and I wasn't able to be there for you because I literally didn't have anything left to give. And I truly believe he did it, because she sucks the life out of everybody there. And him being in a situationship with her, he's around her the most. And I guarantee you, she sucks energy out of him like a vacuum. I swear to God she does. But she then says that if there's nothing left to give to me, don't bother. It's always about Huda. It's never about him. She don't care about him. She's swearing up and down that he don't care about her, but you don't care about him. He just told you he had nothing else to give. Your response today is, well, if you don't have nothing else to give to me, then Jeremiah, leave her alone. Leave her alone. But she then says, I cried myself to sleep, and you're sleeping in the bed with another woman. He started tripping out because I was tripping out too. I'm like, you act like he was in there fucking her. He was laying there with his back to her. He was just laying in the bed. Like, what? And I'm like, if you don't get up, Jeremiah, the way she's talking is crazy. Crazy. But she then says that he's the reason why she's been acting the way she does. I said, could not be me. Could not be me. Even though this episode was, God, it was hard to get through. It was hard to get through. But please thumbs up the video. Drop y'all's comments. I know y'all got a lot of thoughts, just as much as I did. So leave them down there. If you got to spam your thoughts, spam them. Thumbs up the video. Let's try and get 700 to 800 again. Subscribe if you're new. If you haven't already, do it now. We on the road to 10K. We getting real close. Let's try and get it by the end of the season. Let's try and get it by the end of the week or next week. Because I think we got 1,000 damn near in 2 weeks. Let's do it again. But I'll see y'all tomorrow. Peace.